Today's episode is sponsored by water. Water. It is hydrating. It is good for you, and it tastes clear as long as you don't have dirt and it's not muddy and stuff like that. But water, get it today. It's good.
It's not wet.
Yeah. Now that we're in a good and wetty mood, it's that wetty time of the season, boys. Sea monsters.
Do creatures of the deep count as cryptids?
No, cryptids are on land, idiot.
Wait, what?
Wait, can someone confirm that?
Boys, it doesn't matter, okay? I'm just happy and wet to be back with you on the podcast.
Settle down there, Spaz. We just started the episode. Hello and welcome to the Scary Box Podcast. I'm John Peralski.
And I'm Nathaniel R. Martin.
And I'm Nicholas Alexander. Now let's rev up those fry cook engines and take the paddy wagon through the creatures of the deep. The
show to keep you up at night. Or something similarly cheesy.
The deep sea is practically a world of its own. It's cold, it's pitch black, and the water pressure is so intense, human bodies would not survive it. This extreme environment has forced deep sea animals to evolve in order to survive. And some of those adaptations make deep sea animals appear strange to our human eyes, as well as create tales and legends that have lived for multiple centuries and generations of what seem to be described as deep sea monsters. However, could there actually be deep sea creatures that are within our deepest oceans that we don't know about yet? Or are these just stories that are made up just to, get people going and just to tell a good, scary story? Stay tuned as we go under the sea.
Under the sea, everything's better down where it's wetter. Take it from Nick.
Did you write this intro?
Yes, I did.
It was pretty good. It's a shame you couldn't read it good, but that's a really good hook you got there.
Okanagan Lake. The Oingo Boingo is a lake monster that resides in Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, Canada, as told in a Canadian folklore. The folklore of Oingo Boingo has existed since the early 19th century.
Nick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Oingo Boingo is a new wave band from the 80s with the frontman Danny Elfman. This here says the Ogopogo.
Oh, my bad. It appears so. My bad.
What a coincidence.
What a coinky-dink!
But anyway, back to the show. The folklore of Ogopogo has existed since the early 19th century, and the most common description is a 40 to 50 foot long sea serpent. It is alleged that the first sighting of the sea serpent occurred in 1926 at an Okanagan Mission Beach by inhabitants of a fleet of 30 vehicles. In 1968, while filming at the lake, Art Folden, cameraman, filmed the alleged creature underwater, and an analysis of the video revealed that this was a solid three-dimensional object moving under the water. In 2011, a cell phone camera captured two large solid objects in the water, but would be revealed to be floating logs.
Yeah, the floating logs thing. I remember me and my friends being out on the lake as like kids on a jet ski, and we'd see like a log in the water, and we're like, oh, it's the serpent of Elm Creek. But there's no way this man-made lake from the 30s had a fucking sea serpent living in it.
There's never definitive proof. It's like Bigfoot. It's like if he's there, why don't we have fucking proof?
Yeah, this video fucking sucks.
That's better than most cryptid clips.
No, it looks the exact same as every other cryptid clip.
This is 68. It's just a shadow in the water. It could be just about anything.
A basking shark.
It looks like a pike to me.
A snake.
Honestly, what if it's just a snake? A big snake that's in Canada. Does Canada have big snakes?
Okay, this is fucking fake. Thanks for using this picture as a reference. I can't wait to put it on the video version and be like, look at this fucking bullshit. This sucks, Nick. Look at it. Oh, this is definitive proof of a sea serpent. It literally looks like somebody MS painted it. Look how dark that black is right there.
It looks like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon.
That's what he looks like. I could Photoshop this picture straight onto here and be the same thing.
So far, I don't find this serpent very believable.
The Selma is a folklore monster that resides in the Lake Seyjord in Norway. According to legend, the monster is either a lindworm or a sea serpent. Those who have seen the sea monster say the legend of Selma dates back to the 18th century, and it is thought that it began when a young girl recording a video. This is where, like, okay, never mind. This is where, like, in the article, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this never made sense. I was like, 18th century filming? Is it, like, recording a video? Because I was like, that's 1700s.
Did you forget you wrote this?
This might not have been a reliable resource, Nick.
Interesting.
I don't know if they were thinking of, like, two separate instances, and then they just forgot to include the middle part to, like, separate them. It's also just weird that, like, everybody just starts to just refer to this, like, sea serpent thing as a her.
I mean, Selma sounds like a pretty feminine name.
Well, why call it Selma? I don't think that's Selma the snake. I mean, sure, they have the S's, but, like...
It's a better name than Nessie.
I don't know, kind of Nessie's kind of nice.
But Champ's still cooler than both of them. All right, I'm leading a mutiny on this episode since we didn't write it down. Arg! Send Nick to the brig! The Fiji Mermaid was an object composed of a torso and a head of a juvenile monkey sewn to the back half of a fish.
What the fuck?
That, to me, Nick, is what you seem to be implying with what your kind of idea was. Is like, oh, what if it's a man-made projected? You hear the stories and then we enhance upon it. And we'll check it out a little bit later. We'll see that certain creatures that we come to think of or know, there's no consistency still in all of these. Whereas for each of these creatures, we can't find a single picture, even when you blow up on Google, that at least match a little bit. Like, the scales are different, or if they're a serpent, they're not technically scales. They're more like an eel type of looking thing. Where's the consistency? At least this guy went and made like 20 of these monkeys and it's like, I'm gonna hide these around the earth.
I mean, do you guys think mermaids actually exist, though?
Not these things, because I know it's fake.
Do I believe in mermaids? I do not think so, but the Megalodon. The earliest Megalodon fossils date back to 20 million years ago. For the next 13 million years, the enormous shark dominated oceans until becoming extinct just 3.6 million years ago.
This is a Christian server. Can you not talk about the Earth being 50 million years old?
The Earth is no older than
6,000 years.
This is an interesting creature of the deep because it's one that scientifically existed at one point.
Which is so nice because the thing is, why do people believe it's still floating around? That's what I don't get, is when they're like, yo, we need to explore the oceans more because we constantly find new stuff. If Megalodons, which aren't technically as large as they appear to be
they're about the same size as a whale, a little bit bigger. But I was gonna say, and the thing is too, is this like I'll just say we'll research it as we go through it. Is this like, because the thing I always thought is this like, well, what's the deepest a whale can go? I mean, a shark could probably go deeper since it breathes water. Because the only thing I was thinking about is like, how much pressure would a shark that big be able to withstand?
In theory, I guess a megalodon could exist. It's more of a matter of why. Why would it be unspotted for 3.6 million years?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say too, Nate, is if there's something these large in our water, like, I don't know, you don't confuse a whale for the shark.
The interesting factual information about the Megalodon, though. Megalodon was not only the biggest shark in the world, but one of the largest fish to ever exist. Estimates suggest that it grew between 15 and 18 meters long, 3 times longer than the largest recorded great white shark. Without a complete Megalodon skeleton, these figures are based on the size of the animal's teeth, which can reach 18 centimeters long, In fact, the word Megalodon simply means large tooth. These teeth literally tell us a lot, such as what these massive animals ate. They tackled large animals such as whales. Megalodons had to be able to open their mouth like super wide, and it's estimated that its jaws span 2.7 by 3.4 meters wide, easily big enough to swallow 2 adult people side by side. These jaws were lined with 276 teeth, and studies reconstructing the shark's bite force suggested that it may have been one of the most powerful predators to have ever existed. Humans have been measured with a bite force around 1,317 newtons, while great white sharks have been predicted to have bite down force with about 18,216 newtons. Researchers have estimated with the Megalodon, it had the bite between 108,501 newtons and 182,201 newtons.
What if everyone's wrong because they don't have a complete,
No full fossil, yeah.
What if it's just a giant dolphin with teeth?
Or what if it was a vegetarian?
It has all these sharp teeth, but it's actually just a vegetarian.
Fish are friends, not food.
Did we talk about the waters where these bastards were in? What was the Earth like over 3.6 million years ago?
I did not find the location of where they were at or anything like that. I would assume during the Pangea times. The Pangea Games.
The Pangea Games. Oh, Megalodon teeth have been found on every continent except Antarctica.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
That's because that's the end of the Earth, how it's flat and...
They don't want to fall off.
They don't want to float at world's end.
Or if anything, that's what Christians use to say that's why they went extinct. It's like, they fell off the earth, dummy. That's why they're all gone.
To be fair, we can't insult all Christians because in the Bible it says the earth is round. I don't know which rewrite that is, but
it's a flat round.
There was less diversity in the number of species, like in prehistoric like food chains and stuff like that. So these things were probably just like the apex predator of the entire water of the planet.
They basically kind of shrink because there's only so much food. Yeah, there's always a bigger fish, but then fish run out of food, don't they? We think of the things that have been able to survive, like gators and crocodiles, but they're saltwater and freshwater. That's the thing that's so interesting to me about it is I don't care so much that whether they had to evolve to be able to get on to land and everything. The fact that they can go and survive in both waters. The ones all the way back then, should they be able to survive both types of water? So all those types of questions too. And you think some gators will be huge, especially on this Florida coast and up to the Carolinas. You'll see those gator videos of them on golf courses where it's like, that thing's 24 feet long.
Like the whole sharking industry of and selling all their shit, the bones and it's a bit. I know it's a big industry, but I know it's also a big issue.
Shark fin soup.
100 million sharks every year throughout the globe. And all they do is defin them and throw their bodies back into the water. It doesn't fix the process of anything.
The thing I always found interesting about sharks is that if another shark smells like another shark's blood, it's like a weird code signal of yo, this is a bad area, get the fuck out. It's to where they'll just avoid the area. It's just I don't know, they're smart enough to pick up signs of okay, if another shark is being killed here, this is probably not the area to go. To where then the food chain and everything's off to where an overpopulation of certain fish, and then
2 to 3 sharks are killed every second, over 11,000 every hour. So within the span of listening to this stupid podcast, over 11,000 sharks have died. You're destroying the natural cycle of things. I'm curious what if in the next million years or so, what if the sharks, because these are also pretty smart creatures, what if they're able to get some type of evolutionary process occurring to them where they start reverting back to the Megalodon size and going deeper?
But speaking of extinction, we do know that the Megalodon had become extinct at the end of the Pliocene, 2.6 million years ago, when the planet entered a phase of global cooling. Precisely when the last Megalodon died is unknown, but new evidence suggests that it was at least 3.6 million years ago.
Does it suck that they died off?
I think so, yes.
That's a long time ago. There's not that many shark attacks, like, what if we had a few of these boys?
You're more likely to get struck by lightning and have a vending machine fall on you than get attacked by just attacked, not killed or eaten or whatever, just attacked by a shark. I think if you watch Jaws, especially at a young age, yeah, you're gonna definitely have a fear of the ocean. That's what happened to me. Before, I remember we had a vacation going to California and wouldn't go too deep because it was just Bruce is gonna get me.
I love swimming in the water.
Sharks bite 386 people a year, but 11,000 New Yorkers bite people a year.
So the same amount of sharks that die within an hour are the same amount of New Yorkers that get bit.
Scientists think that up to a third of all large marine animals, including 43% of turtles and 35% of seabirds, became extinct as temperatures cooled and the number of organisms at the base of the food chain plummeted, resulting in a knock-on effect to the predators at the top. The cooling of the planet may have contributed to the extinction of the Megalodon in a number of ways.
All right, when are we going cage diving to swim with sharks?
Dude, I don't want to do that.
I'm down. I'm more scared of the scuba suit than I am the sharks.
Yeah, I don't want to just shoot myself up and then my lungs get crushed. That's what I'm more paranoid about than the shark being like, "Hi, Nick, how you doing?" I'm Woody. Howdy.
If we were to do the cage shark thing, and if it attacked us and we lived
It's not gonna break the cage, Nick.
Have you seen the videos? That guy wins the story for best story at any party. Someone could be like, yeah, we were in a tornado. It's yeah, that's cool, buddy. I survived a shark attack in a cage. What the fuck? But could the Megalodon still exist? Emma, who curates the museum's fossil fish collection, Natural History Museum in London, curates the fish collection, including fossil sharks, helps separate the fact from fiction. And she said this.
No, it's definitely not alive in the deep oceans. Despite what the Discovery Channel has said in the past, if an animal as big as a Megalodon still lived in the oceans, we would know about it.
Kind of like what Perelsky said.
Yes, and me. And Karen, Emma.
Thank you, Emma. The sharks would leave telltale bite marks on other large marine animals, and their huge teeth would continue littering the ocean floors in their tens of thousands.
If it were 11,000 years ago, I'd be like, maybe. It's 3.6 million years ago, right? Because, you think of creatures that there's multiple animals that have gone extinct and are so far short lifetime. You think of that.
Know more about with space shit than we know with the deepest shit in our oceans.
There's definitely space whales. There's definitely planet-sized creatures out there. There's no way there's not.
Okay, hoist your anchor, put on your eye patch, and hold up a second there, matey. Because even though it's believed by many that the megalodons are to be extinct, like Perelsky over here, over the years there have been different sightings. The most recent one was on May 28th, 2021. A massive shark seen in a video lurking around a tall ship off the coast of Massachusetts has social media in an uproar.
I like that you pronounce the other countries and bigger words better than Massachusetts.
Yeah, I'm a Yankees fan.
This is a good video, Nick. Do you have my share screen open? I'm playing the video, Nick.
I've got a couple of questions about this video.
Yes, sir.
One, this is a TikTok. And I guess I'm not immediately saying that it's not believable because it's a TikTok, but the angle in which they're shooting this video at, there's a bunch of people on this boat. It looks like some sort of passenger kind of day cruise thing. Sure. Someone got up on the crow's nest who uses TikTok to record this thing? I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's no way that a crewmate was like, "Oh, there's a shark in the water. I'm going to get the best possible view I can, and then I'm going to record this. And instead of putting it on Facebook, because I'm probably 50 years old, it's going right on my daughter's TikTok." This feels like it probably was a real thing, but I don't know.
I follow the CG artist who does those really kick-ass videos like this Grim Reaper over the Golden Gate Bridge, but that's exactly the same vibe that I got from this. This is the best video we've watched all night, Nick. Good pick.
Prehistoric sized video like we just saw was swimming slowly alongside the ship, and since then it was researched. Alex Albrecht, a marine biodiversity student and musician, captured the sighting from the mast of the SSV Corwith Kramer just over 100 miles off the coast of the Woods Hole section of Falmouth. The now viral video has been viewed over 37 million times, and the main comment was, "Is that a Megalodon?" Of course, the Megalodon, and many people think it's been extinct.
Clearly not if they're asking, Nick.
Some scientists estimate that, that an adult Megalodon could have been more than 30 feet in length. Others contest the species could have been more than 80 feet long. So, was that an actual Megalodon that was spotted in the New England coast in 2021? No. The shark seen in the viral TikTok video has been identified as a harmless but still large basking shark. Basking sharks are the second largest species of its kind and can grow up to 26 feet in length.
You fucking serious?
I'm so grateful to be able to share such a wonderful creature with so many people, Albright said. I hope it makes people want to protect and conserve biodiversity in our oceans. That's pretty based. He just wants us to donate to the Shark Foundation, so that way we stop killing 100 million sharks a year.
Wait a minute. Are we not gonna talk about the gaslighting? Nick was... That was the best video, and we know it's fault? Why'd you even do this to me?
For the next sighting, it takes place during 2018 in the Mariana Trench. This one's actually very interesting.
James Cameron went there.
Did Jim find it? Let's go!
A giant shark caught on camera scouring the bottom of the Mariana Trench has been spotted and debated if it's a Megalodon and if they now are still existing or not. The huge predator can be seen swimming over what seems to be an abandoned shark cage. Some believe this footage, which has been re-emerged after being filmed in 2018, is proof the sharks are not extinct and has sparked the debate online.
All right, no, let's watch it before you talk about the reactions. Fucking dumb. Who invited you? You know what it looks like to me? Every other fucking shark. It doesn't even look that big. It looks like every other time I see a shark in a video.
Well, maybe if it would stay in the center of the frame, we'd be able to see it better.
Yeah, what is this jackass?
James Cameron needs to get needs to film better. Come on.
This guy would be shitting a brick if that thing was that close to him and his boat. He would not be in the water right now to film this.
And you're also telling me, oh, Mariana Trench, it's from the guy sticking his GoPro out of his boat. What a fucking moron.
Wait, like, he was in the water, yeah?
It looks like a stick.
Okay, cool.
Oh, maybe it is somebody in the water.
If it's a stick, I believe this video a little bit, but still it's just a giant shark. It's not a Megalodon.
I watch a bunch of diving videos and, sometimes they'll go and see the sharks and everything. That's how big they always look.
If that's a Megalodon, that's a baby Megalodon. That is just a normal-sized great white shark.
Conspiracy theorists believe the Megalodon has managed to successfully avoid detection for millions of years. It is believed they have died 3 million years ago, though there are plenty who still believe it's alive. While many seem it's impossible, the discovery of an extinct animal is still not unheard of. The coelacanth fish, is one such creature. Based on fossil records, it was thought to be extinct, but was later found alive and consequently dubbed the living fossil. Dr. Carl Schucker, a leading cryptozoologist, has dedicated his life to researching animals thought to be extinct. He has said that unusually large and unidentified sharks are still being reported. An image from 2016 appeared to show a 60-foot shark in Japan's Suruga Bay.
Sugar Ray, I love that band.
I don't know, even though I would love to think it's it would be cool if they were alive, even though it'd be scary. I honestly, if anything, if there's a bigger shark out there, it's probably, I would think it's just, either a basking shark, a whale shark, or maybe a species of shark we don't know yet.
I think it's more likely we would determine a new species of shark than it would be recovering a Megalodon.
It'd also be pretty funny if that species was a direct link to the Megalodon, but because we don't have a complete fossil record, they just can't tell, so they name it a new species, and it's like...
The mini Megalodon.
The Megalodon.
Alrighty, well, I hope you guys are ready to get mythical because we're gonna dive into some some more world beliefs here to talk about the sea creature from the deep that I was tasked with looking up. The Leviathan.
Ooh, I like me some Levi jeans.
The Leviathan is a sea serpent noted in theology and mythology. It is referenced in several books of the Hebrew Bible, including Psalms, the Book of Job, the Book of Isaiah, the Book of Amos, and according to some translations, in the Book of Jonah. It is also mentioned that in the Book of Enoch. The Leviathan is often an embodiment of chaos and threatening to eat the damned after their life. In the end, it is annihilated. Christian theologians identified Leviathan with the demon of the deadly sin envy. According to the Ophite diagrams, the Leviathan encapsulates the space of the material world. Yeah, this thing's not only a biblical beast, but apparently a sea creature as well.
Nicholas, how much do you remember Sunday school? Because I got a story for you.
I used to go to Sunday school a lot when I was a kid. Well, it would be on Tuesdays, but I don't remember much. I just remember like the basics.
Okay, do you know the movie Pinocchio?
Yes.
Okay, close enough. Your boy Jonah gets swallowed by a whale and lives in that bitch for 3 days, and then they shoot him back out. Reminds you of Pinocchio, right? I always took from that Bible lesson, he's not in a freaking whale. Because there's so many references to prehistoric creatures still alive during the times of the Bible that I'm like, bro, he's in a Leviathan or something. He's in a giant-ass creature.
Ian pointed me to the Book of Enoch and the idea with angels actually being aliens, and just I always thought that was one of the most interesting ideas and stuff like that. And just what if we could just go back in time and just like see what they were writing about? Like, that's a Leviathan. They're just like, that's just a big ass, like, I don't know, like what they would be around that would be eating them or whatever.
Well, you can go back in time if you watch the movie 33 AD.
Or Black Easter.
Sorry, Nate. You can continue now.
The Leviathan of the Book of Job, which is in the Torah, I just looked it up, is a reflection of the older Canaanite Lotan, a primeval monster defeated by the god Baal Hadad, which is in the Syrian mythology. Parallels to the role of the Mesopotamian Tiamat defeated by Marduk have long been drawn in comparative mythology and have been wider comparisons to dragon and world serpent narratives such as the Indra slaying Vitra or Thor slaying Jogamandor. Leviathan also figures in the Hebrew Bible as a metaphor for a powerful enemy, notably Babylon. Some 19th century scholars pragmatically interpreted it as referring to a large aquatic creatures, such as a crocodile, or as Porolsky was saying earlier, whales. The word later came to be used as a term for a great whale and for sea monsters in general. So it's interesting that there are similar Leviathan type creatures in multiple world mythologies, and then the term itself, Leviathan, just became synonymous with big creature in the water.
Big ass sea monster.
It makes me believe that there's some credibility to the Leviathan just because of the sheer number of ancient reports of gigantic creatures of the deep, so to speak. This was like the term cryptid for 3,000 years.
Also, the name Leviathan just sounds like a scary ass water monster.
Sounds like a really good roller coaster. It's a roller coaster that at the end your cart takes off of the rail and then it turns into a flume ride. And then you're on a flume ride and then it has a drop and they take your picture. The first hybrid coaster of its kind.
It's a wet drop.
The wet drop.
Most scholars agree on describing Lotan as the fugitive serpent, but he may or may not have been the wiggling serpent or the mighty one with 7 heads. His role seems to have been prefigured by the earlier serpent Tentum, whose death at the hands of Hadad is depicted in Syrian seals of the 18th and 16th century BC. So the earliest record and earliest writing of this Leviathan, this giant sea beast, is from I guess a record of a fable 18,000 years before the Bible. So that's pretty old.
Words on a manuscript.
And seals, pictures, drawings, almost like hieroglyphics.
Porolsky, are you able to pull up a picture of the Leviathan Sea Monster?
No. The Leviathan, you search it, it's the generalized term for the big monster, Like this picture right here, Nick, I'll save it so I can put it.
That looks like the Kraken to me.
That looks like the original interpretations of the Kraken that we'll talk about. So it's like...
Yeah, the physical description of the Leviathan varies just as much as like the different religions and like books it's historically written, which to me it just makes it so fascinating as like a generalized term for an unexplained sea monster of historic value. Also has its own translation in multiple Bibles as well, or multiple sacred texts as well, where it not only means a giant creature of the sea, but an obstacle to overcome or a demon to beat, a challenge, but also a creature of the sea, which I think makes stories like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea so much more interesting, where it's like there's always that connection to something deeper in the deep water.
The strong sea beast, as it would become to be known, was discovered in the aftermath of a winter storm in 1808. Stunned local fishermen described seeing something altogether alien in the water, and they weren't the only ones left scratching their heads. Eyewitnesses claimed that the beast was of incredible length, with a long slender neck, 3 pairs of legs, and a tail and hairy mane. A contemporary description reads,
The body measured 55 feet in length, and the circumference of the greatest part might be equal to the girth of an Orkney pony. The head was not larger than that of a seal, and was furnished with 2 blowholes. From the back a number of filaments resembling in texture the fishing tackle known by the name of silkworm gut hang down like a mane. On each side of the body were 3 large fins, shaped like paws and jointed. Its flesh was described as being like coarse, ill-colored beef, entirely covered with fat and tallow, and without the least resemblance or affinity to fish. The skin, which was gray-colored and had an elastic texture, was said to be about 2 inches thick in parts.
that is thick.
So it's literally a water horse?
That's what I got. Isn't there a stupid fucking movie about this?
Well, no, that's just about the Loch Ness Monster called Water Horse. I think we talked about this on the cryptid episode of Duel of the Takes. I'm having PTSD.
I do remember. I never seen the movie, but I remember that trailer. Oh my God. One needs only to read that to note the striking similarity with the Loch Ness Monster, like you guys said. Unfortunately, by the time the experts arrived on the scene, what remained of the beast had decayed to the point that it was difficult to determine if this was the real deal. Bits of the carcass, which included vertebrae segments and strands of hair, were transported to Edinburgh, one of the most important scientific centers in the Western world, where they were poked, prodded, and pondered over by members of the Wernian Society.
You know what I realized, Nate? But this is also fucking stupid because the thing is, when you look at these monsters and see what people are like, oh, this is the real deal, they're just whatever. I don't even fucking care anymore.
What, you've got multiple layers of people that are like trying to figure it out, like the guys who actually discovered it, and they're like, what, is our opinion not valid? We saw this shit before you guys come to pick up to decay this, like the decaying corpse of this sea creature we found. And then
What, you don't believe us?
the greatest minds of Edinburgh are like, oh, we're gonna look at this for decades and like pick it apart, and they're like, we can't determine what it is. It's like, yeah, neither could the guys on the beach, but at least they got to see it fresh. Like, get your ass there quicker. Get an Uber. Stop waiting for public transportation.
Yeah, exactly. It's once again just like the Canadian Mounties.
Nobody could figure out the mystery, but so convinced were the great minds of the time that this was a newly discovered species. The beast was given its own scientific name, Hausaditrus. Pralsky, put up the name. It's unpronounceable. Someone can do it. Say it. You could say it.
Pontopidini.
Halsadrius Pontopidini.
Pontopidani.
After a Norwegian bishop who recorded sea monsters in the 1700s. Even Nessie doesn't boast her own popular monarch. Wait, what's that word?
Moniker Lewinsky.
Nessie doesn't boast her own proper moniker. However, the mystery was short-lived. Esteemed surgeon Sir Edvard Holm brought the beast's skull and neck bones with them to London, bursting the bubbles in the process. Upon closer inspection of the vertebrae, Sir Edvard concluded that it was the scant remains of a humble basking shark. In 1849, the Scottish professor John Goodsir in Edinburgh came to the same conclusion. The largest reliably recorded basking shark was 40 feet in length, so at 55 feet in length, the beast of Stronsay still constitutes something of a cryptozoological enigma.
I thought that the guy, Sir Everett Holmes, said it was around 36 feet. So why is John Goodsir now saying that it was 55 feet in length? Do they have different size measuring sticks here? What's going on?
They couldn't figure out the translation from metric to imperial.
Basking sharks are not uncommon in the North Sea, particularly during the summer months. They are seen in even greater numbers in the North Atlantic and will occasionally venture close to the west coast of Scotland. Holmes' findings were given further credence in the 1980s by Dr. Jeff Swinney, an expert on lower vertebrate fish, amphibians, and reptiles, who asserted that it was 100% certain that it was a basking shark. And with that analysis, the Stronsay beast was dead. A specimen of the sea serpent's vertebrae was kept by a National Museum of Scotland on Chambers Street in Edinburgh, however it's said.
So it's not even real. We spent 30 fucking minutes talking about a basking shark.
Well, actually, Peralski, there's more.
Son of a bitch.
The Stronsay beast was 55 feet long, was measured by three witnesses. One was a carpenter, and the other two were farmers. It was 4 feet wide and had a circumference of approximately 10 feet. It had 3 pairs of paws, or wings. It had skin that was smooth when stroked head to tail, and rough when stroked tail to head. Its fins were edged with bristles and had a mane of bristles all down its back. The bristles glowed in the dark when wet, and its stomach contents were red.
Okay, could you imagine like petting this gigantic ass beast and then it just like comes to life and like you freak the fuck out? Because like, bro, like
I would scream.
I would not touch that thing.
Can any of the 3 witnesses get their story straight too? Like, how can you not tell the difference between feet, paws, and wings? Are you stupid?
This thing was simultaneously a bird, a fish, and a mammal.
Like, I don't mind it being, you know, a griffin or whatever, but like, describe it right. I don't know if it's paws or wings. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't know the difference between a paw or a wing? It's a fish, moron!
Well, Peralski, Yvonne Simpson, a geneticist from Orkney, has researched the evidence and suggests that the Stronsay beast may indeed have been an unusually large basking shark, or possibly an unknown species of shark closely related to the basking shark. The drawings of the Stronsay beast's decayed carcass are similar in shape and size to the popular image of the Loch Ness Monster. The third pair of appendages could be a male shark's clasps, but male sharks are generally smaller than the female of the same species. There is also the possibility that the creature may have been an oarfish, which has shown quite similar disparities. So, what do you think about that, Peralski?
I hate you. That's what I think. Fucking stupid.
All that time for nothing.
I think that the Stronsay beast was probably most likely a basking shark, but it does appear that there were some differences in it. It could have been like mutated or something, especially the one that's throwing me off the most is just the supposed texture within the skin and it reflecting that more of like a mammal.
Yeah, that's just the thing that always got to me as well.
All that shit. I mean, it's a shark, and back then I don't think they had the best measurements for sharks, so it's not like they saw them domesticated or in captivity as much as we do today. So I don't think that they were aware of the sizes and ranges and sizes that these creatures could get. Skin is the most interesting part of it, but again, it could just be mutated or something. Like, there's definitely freak versions of a lot of creatures that are found in the wild. You know, there's like albino like squirrels and stuff that people think are a brand new type of squirrel, and then it's just like, oh no, that's a genetically mutated squirrel. It's just normal.
It's just rare.
The oarfish is interesting too. I don't know if oarfish are like that same dimension. It feels like that's a bit of a stretch.
I don't know much about oarfish.
It's, instead of being a 45-second long video clip, this was like an hour of my life. So thank you for that, Nick.
Do you guys know what I love? Pirates of the Caribbean. All of them. But there's a specific creature in particular that has a big old appearance in Dead Man's Chest. The Kraken. I love the Kraken. Or Kraken, however you'd like to pronounce it. The Kraken was first described in a 1700 travelogue by Francesco Negri as a more whale-like creature. Following that, in 1734, a Dano-Norwegian missionary and explorer, Hans Egede, describes the Kraken in detail, stating it was many-headed and clawed, as similar to most of the other things we were talking about earlier. He continues by comparing the Kraken to the Icelandic, a legendary whale that inhabits the Greenland Sea. This creature, when stationary, can be easily confused to be an island. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound like the Kraken I know and love.
That doesn't sound like the Caribbean either, dude. We're in Iceland. This is cold, Peralski.
We'll get there. It's gonna get real disappointing real quick for you, pal, but
Is it gonna get warm?
no. I just find it interesting that we've talked over multiple creatures, and all of the early accounts, you can almost conclude from all of the way these creatures have changed. You could be like, what if they all just saw the same creature?
It was all just a Leviathan.
Now, we just discussed this boy a little bit. In 1753, a Norwegian bishop, Pontoppidan, describes the Kraken as an octopus of tremendous size and had a reputation of pulling down ships. This is where the fun begins. In 1866, Victor Hugo introduced in his book Toilers of the Sea the main character, Gilliatt, fighting an octopus based off the Puvere octopus of Guernsey lore. This version is what leads to Jules Verne's depiction of the Kraken, describing it as a giant squid or devilfish of large dimensions. Once again, there's not a set standard for what this creature is supposed to look like. In the Pirates of the Caribbean lore, it describes it as a Leviathan sent to prey on unwary ships and mariners.
Did Davy Jones control the Kraken?
The Kraken's legend probably came from a blend of seamen longing for something and hallucinating at sea, or from giant squids which grow 40 to 50 feet in length. How about its weakness? I bet you'll be shocked. Water deprivation.
Remove the Kraken from water, and what are you left with? Calamari.
So the Kraken works in mysterious ways. And as you were saying, Nick, Davy Jones, is from over there on the, the European side of the earth, right? I find it very interesting. If you look at the map, these are the waters it's said to be in, from Greenland and Norway and Iceland, is all these waters. And most of those early depictions and descriptions of it are basically describing whales or something that can be confused with an island. And I find that super interesting because, once again, our perception of the Kraken, or at least the modern perception of the Kraken, and even the 1800 picture, the picture of the Kraken, it's always the octopus and squid. And most of those accounts all come from Victor Hugo and Jules Verne, which didn't actually have an account with the creature. It's from their fictionalized storytelling.
I know more with Jules Verne. I know with he was just a writer. I didn't know anything about Hugo.
The main depictions of it, also the time of the pirates was basically done by 1780s. So you really, when you think of it that way even,
There's all these tales and legends that they have passing on, and yeah.
all of the depictions of it range from 1700 to 1734. It's not until 1866 you get the full-on Kraken version that you know. So once again, in Pirates of the Caribbean, they're depicting the version of what we know as the Kraken, what we would presume it to be, with whether it be many claws, but the squid-based creature. Whereas all of the earlier Norway versions and Greenland versions of it are all, it's a whale that can be confused with an island. I find that super interesting.
Yeah, I do too.
I thought there would be like multiple sightings around the world. I never realized it was just
Very minimal, and then it was used in storytelling.
the Caribbean. I mean, it's not a great source to use for your pirate knowledge and education, but I thought it was just where like, oh, they're the, kind of just, Atlantic Ocean, whatever, just salt water. Yeah.
To answer your question though, Nick, Davy Jones does control the Kraken. It's his pet. He just dragged it down from there to the Caribbean.
Good point. Didn't think about that.
There you go, Pirates fans. Arrgh.
All right.
What fucking alien shit do you want to talk about now, you piece of shit?
The Sea Serpent, I just think it's kind of just in the sense of like a giant snake or just, species, just like a weird, just bigger species. Just, they are stupid. Like, it's, that just seems, kind of weird, far-fetched. Leviathan, with that one, I'm gonna go full in on belief with this one. When Prosky pulled up the painting with, it was splicing. Aliens came down, in a sense of how they created humanity. They took the Neanderthal and combined it with their DNA to create the modern human. What they did was they took maybe an octopus with another strand of DNA, splice it together, create what they in the Bible is considered the Leviathan. I don't know if it's in the Bible with the Minotaur, but kind of with the
Minotaur is not in the Bible.
It is or not?
It's not in the Bible. That's from Greek mythology.
I wasn't going to want to be like, it's not in there with confidence and be like, actually, in Leviticus.
Leviathan.
Animal DNA genetic splicing to at that time maybe had a very specific creature that was created in a sense maybe man-made, made by something else beyond us, but then over time maybe just died out. The Megalodon, as much as I would love for it to be around because it would be cool, like we discussed, I'm pretty sure the biggest shark or whatever that they're unknown of, it's probably just an unknown species. We're still learning. There's a lot with the ocean we don't know. Probably a basking shark, whale shark, or even the oarfish. I forgot about those. And then with the Kraken, like, that one's just wild to me because on Joe Rogan, shout out to the man, the legend Joe.
It's 2022, Nick, not 2018.
Yeah, they're like talking about these giant ass squids that I can't remember where they were found at, but it was like these big ass squids they found in the ocean, and it's just where like I think in a sense I could believe in a sense where it's like these giant squids maybe like attach themselves to the boat, and it was just where like they were emphasized or just exaggerated a little bit more like than like what maybe happened to give it a little oomph and a little bit more suspense to the story, but also like because of the sightings and everything with the 1700s and when it was like it's not like today again with the technology and stuff, but it is interesting with like I do think maybe it was like hallucinations or just not all of what they were seeing, but maybe they did encounter something, but it maybe I don't know. It's just a very strange thing with the Kraken, but it is a cool one.
I think that this broad term of sea monster or Leviathan is like a really fascinating belief. Like it's a very interesting mythology, like touch point, I think, because in all world mythology, you have some sort of like heroes, whether it be Jonah in the Bible or you've got Heracles in Greek mythology. You have people that go on a journey and conquer a beast and come home. And I think that even through more modern history, you'd look at the 1600s, 1700s, these tales of finding a island-sized whale or whatever. They all sound like the same type of story, just scaled down more and more over time as people have been able to travel more themselves and see more for themselves. So I think there's this dichotomy between what we describe as a hero and what we describe as the things that they have to overcome. In all of these beliefs and all of these creatures, I think the most scientific we got today was going in depth on the different types of sharks that still exist that aren't quite as big as the Megalodon. But everything else to me seems very, very close to the proximity of just overcoming something. I think this could be another connection into like missing persons and the Mary Celeste and stuff of a couple weeks ago's episode, where you do have these elements of unexplained things happening. So that could be another reason why people would create a sort of myth or a legend to describe the things that are undescribable. So that's just kind of my theory. I don't think any of these sea monsters actually exist, but the reason that they are created is for fully logical reasons.
I think it's interesting and weird that, like, you know, because for me, I would like it to be real, even though I know it's not. But, like, why do you think, like, you know, as people and, like, I don't know, like, why do we want it? Or why do we think, like, even though, like, we know it's extinct, like, why do you think we jump to the biggest conclusion? Kind of like in a sense of, like, you see, like, you know, someone thinking they see a UFO, but it was just a balloon or something.
Or the most unbelievable outcome makes more things believable. So people want to jump to the conclusion of gigantic Megalodon sharks still existing, so then they can also believe in giant squid, and they can also believe in Kraken. They can also believe in Loch Ness. People want Bigfoot to be real because then it brings more validity to the Yeti and to the swamp ape. People want the missing people of 411 to be a giant government psyop in which we're training all of the monsters to kill people because it's way more interesting than serial killers.
Pearlski, what are your thoughts on all these sea creatures and sea monsters?
The Megalodon once existed, it don't no more.
Do you draw the same parallel to, like, the evolution of the Kraken mythology to that of, like, Leviathan, like I have? Or do you think it's alien gene splicing?
I don't think it's alien gene splicing, I can tell you that much. But no, I definitely think it's the whole perspective of people. What you see, what you want to believe. And once again, I find it interesting that the version of these things that we like is always the latter used version. Once again, the Jules Verne version or Pirates of the Caribbean, using that as a reference, where it's like, well, technically the descriptions of it that take place in between the time period of where the movie supposedly takes place, they were all just describing it as a whale-like island, like from Avatar: The Last Airbender, the giant the lion turtle. People will believe what they want to believe or see what they want to see, but at the same time, it's interesting how many accounts from different locations are very similar things. It might just be the whale of that location.
Well, boys, I say our wet October is going swimmingly. Would you say so, Pearlski?
No, Nick. It's not wet at all, and it's currently August.
Hey, don't break the suspension of disbelief, Pearlski. I'm having a very wet October.
Shut up, Nate. No, you're not wet. Spooky season is still months away, and Better Call Saul just ended. I'm not doing well.
Well, I know what will pluck up your spirits.
Nick, I swear to God, if you try to plug a short film that still isn't finished, I'm going to wring your neck.
No, I finally get to talk about Atlantis next week.
Actually, Nate, that's 2 weeks. 2 weeks till Atlanta, buddy. But what I was gonna say is next week on the Scary Box podcast, Captain Pearlski is going to take us on a dangerous voyage across the 7 deadly seas.
On that note, be sure to tune into next week. Thanks for tuning into today's podcast. I'm still John Pearlski.
I'm still Nate Martin. Check out the Scary Box YouTube channel for cute animated versions of these podcasts, an archive of Nick and John's horror movies, and more.
I think I'm Nicholas Alexander. Thank you so much for listening and have a good night. And remember, stay wet. Also, this episode is sponsored by water.